Hey guys, what is up? MT here, it's back to another video. In today's video, we are looking at a blue, black, green. I can't talk. We're looking at a blue, black, green deck today. Oh my gosh. I could not get that word out. Blue, black, green, mid-range, vintage deck. Now, before we even hop into this, I want to say if you're a new player, as you can see in the top right of the screen here, this deck is about $26,000. Do not play this if you are new to the game. I don't even play vintage because it's too expensive. However, it's something that we haven't really touched on, so I was like, this actually sounds, I don't know, I haven't really touched on it. I haven't seen a ton of videos around YouTube like it, covering vintage decks, probably because they're way too expensive, but, so I figured we could kind of talk about them today and do one. I don't know how often we'll do vintage because I know there's not a huge amount of people playing vintage, but, yeah, I figured we could do it because we don't do it very often. So let's jump right into this. Straight into the creatures here, we have 12 creatures. A 4 Deathrite Shaman, a black or a green. It's a 1/2 creature elf shaman. Tap it to exile target land from a graveyard. Add 1 mana of any color. For a black and tap it, exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life. And for a green and tap it, exile target creature card from a graveyard. You gain 2 life. So, pretty sweet card. I'm actually a huge fan of that card. One Jace Vryn Prodigy / Jace Telepath Unbound. 0/2 flip card, legendary creature, human wizard. Tap it, draw a card, then discard a card. If there are 5 or more cards in your graveyard, exile Jace Vryn's Prodigy, then return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. And then his Planeswalker modes are, he starts with 5, +1 up to 1 target creature gets -2/-0 until end of turn. -3, you may cast a target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that card would be put into a graveyard this turn, exile it instead. -9, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, target opponent puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So a quick way to mill out your opponent if you can ultimate, but more often than not. That's what I'm trying to say. You're going to be using the -3 or +1 ability. 2 Snapcaster Mages, 1 in a blue 2/1 flash. When it enters the battlefield, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Great card here. Modern staple, vintage staple, commander staple, everything staple. Tarmogoyf, I don't know. 1 in a green, and its power is star, and its toughness is star +1. Tarmogoyf's power is equal to the number of cards, card types among cards in all graveyards, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. Next up, in our last creature, we have 2 Leovold, Emissary of Trust. For a black, green, and a blue, 3/3, each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. Whenever you or a permanent you control becomes the ability of target spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. So great draw engine there, and it keeps your opponents from getting card advantage over you. Planeswalkers, we have 4 Planeswalkers, 3 Narset Parter Veils, 1 and 2 blue for 5 loyalty counters. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. -2, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal non-creature, non-land card, a non-creature, non-land card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order, in a random order. So, pretty good, just to kind of cycle through your deck, and also prevent, once again, your opponents from getting card advantage over you. Next up, we have Jace the Mind Sculptor for 2 and 2 blue, 3 loyalty counters. +2, look at the top card of target player's library. You may put that card on the bottom of that player's library. For 0, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. -1, return target creature to its owner's hand. And -12, exile all cards from target player's library. Then that player shuffles his or her hand into his or her library. Now that +2 is absolutely insane, and so is the 0 ability and the -1. It's all crazy. -12 is also crazy, but that won't happen very often. So yeah. Now this is expensive. Spells, we have 22 of them. For $2,768.33, you can get yourself an Ancestral Recall. Call in right now, we'll give you 5% off your order. No, not actually. I don't know. Okay, so for 1 blue, we have 1 Ancestral Recall for good reason, because it's $3,000. It's an instant, draw 3 cards, or force an opponent to draw 3 cards. Most of the time you're going to be most of the time you're going to be drawing 3 cards yourself. In fact, I think that's probably almost every time you'd be drawing 3 cards yourself, because you're crazy not to. Next up, 1 Brainstorm for 1 blue. Draw 3 cards, put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. 1 Gitaxian Probe for 2 life or a blue. Look at target player's hand and then draw a card. For, once again, 2 life or a blue. Mental Misstep, we have 3 of these. Counter target spell with converted mana cost 1, which is absolutely great because you don't even have to have mana to cast that. Ponder for 1 blue. Sorcery, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. You may shuffle your library and then draw a card. For 2 Preordain, 1 blue, 2 Preordains for 1 blue sorcery. Scry 2, then draw a card. Great card right there. So as you can see, all this is kind of just helping us get through our deck and find what we need besides Mental Misstep and Gitaxian Probe. But the rest of these is just helping us draw cards. Assassin's Trophy for green and a black. Instant, destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle their library. So great card right there, 3 of those. Demonic Tutor, we have 1 of these. 1 in a black sorcery, search your library for a card, then put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Classic Tutor right there, great one. Another really expensive one, $2,700, a little bit less than Ancestral Recall. Take an extra turn after this one. Crazy card, you can see why it's $2,700. No, there's really no reason for that card to be that much. I don't understand some of the prices for cards, but it's okay. You know what? If you play Vintage, I'm not judging you. I'm just not going to play Vintage because I would go broke doing it. Unless I'm a millionaire one day. Then maybe I'll invest in a Vintage deck. We'll see. I'll get back to you guys on that one in about 50 years. Force of Vigor, 2 and 2 green. Instant. If it's not your turn, you may exile a green card instead of paying this oh my god. You may exile a green card from your hand rather than pay this spell's mana cost. And then destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. And then we have 4 Force of Will, 3 and 2 blue. Force of Will, you may pay 1 life and remove a blue card in your hand from the game instead of paying Force of Will's casting costs. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. Counter target spell. Classic right there. That is a great card. 1 Dig Through Time. Why is it popping up all the way up there? Well, we now have it popping up in the top here if you're reading it. Dig Through Time, 6 and 2 blue, instant delve. I'll let you read what delve is. Look at the top 7 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And finally, 1 Treasure Cruise, the cheapest card in this entire deck. Treasure Cruise for 7 and a blue, delve, draw 3 cards. So it's just helping us get through that even faster. Artifacts, we have 4 of them, and of course they're all over $2,500. The most expensive one being Black Lotus for $7,000 even. You can call in now and get one for yourself. Black Lotus for 0. I'm just kidding, guys. Do not call me. Not that you know my phone number anyways. Black Lotus for 0 adds 3 mana of any single color of your choice to your mana pool, then is discarded. Tapping this artifact can be played as an interrupt. 1 Mox Emerald for $3,000. Mox Emerald is 0 mana. Add 1 green mana to your mana pool. Tapping this artifact can be played as an interrupt. Mox Jet for 0. Add 1 black mana to your mana pool. Tapping this artifact can be played as an interrupt. And finally, Mox Sapphire for 0. Add 1 blue mana to your mana pool. Tapping this artifact can be played as an interrupt. So they're all pretty similar, they just tap for different color mana. Enchantments, we have 1 enchantment, Sylvan Library, 1 in a green, classic right here. Enchantment, you draw 2 extra cards during your draw phase. If you do so, put 2 of the cards drawn this turn back on top of your library in any order. Or pay 4 life per card not replaced. Effects that prevent or redirect this damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. Pretty powerful card right there. And moving on to lands, we have 1 Flooded Strand. This is a fetch land. Tap it to pay 1 life, sacrifice Flooded Strand, search your library for a plains or island card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. And then 2 blue-green fetch lands. I'm not going to read these because they're the same text, it's just forest or an island. 2 Polluted Delta, blue-black fetch land. 2 Scalding Times, red-blue shocklands. 1 Strip Mine, add 1 mana, tap it to add 1 mana to your mana pool, or 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, sorry. Tap it to sacrifice Strip Mine to destroy target land. 3 Tropical Islands for a blue and a green. It can tap for either. Basically, it taps for either a blue or a green. Crazy land. The blue-black dual land, which is the same thing, it just taps for blue or black. 2 Verdant Catacombs, fetch land for a blue or a green. 1 Wasteland, tap it for a colorless mana, and then you can also tap it to sacrifice Wasteland, destroy target non-basic land. So it's kind of like a Strip Mine, but a little bit different. Yeah. Now, moving on to our sideboard here. So that's it for the actual deck. 2 Ceremonious Rejection for 1 blue, counter target colorless spell, which is great against any Tron deck that you come across. 1 Grafter's Cage for 1 colorless artifact. Creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from their libraries, or from their graveyards or libraries, sorry. 2 Infernal Reckoning. I don't know why it's not popping on. For 1 black, exile target colorless creature. You gain life equal to its power. So a fantastic card right there for any colorless deck. Another Mental Misstep. We read that earlier. I'm not going to read it again. 2 Pithing Noodle. We have a Pithing Noodle. Pithing Needle. Or Pithing Needle, however you want to say it. 1 colorless artifact. As Pithing Needle enters the battlefield, name a card. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen card name can't be activated unless they are mana abilities. 1 more Tarmogoyf for your deck, we already read that. 2 more Force of Vigor, which we also read. And finally, 4 Leyline of the Void for 2 and 2 black enchantment. If it was in your opening hand, you can start with it on the battlefield. Jeez, I cannot talk today. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Now that's going to top off the deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you want to help support the channel, check out the links below. We have merch, which is the best way to support the channel if you want something back for yourself. You can also check out Inked Gaming by purchasing anything with the code MTGNerds10. That is all caps, MTGNerds10. By purchasing anything with that code at checkout, you are also helping support the channel, and you're getting 10% off your purchase. They make all sorts of playmats, dice bags, and some other wonderful stuff. They have some beautiful art on their playmats too. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And then the last way to support the channel is the direct way to, and that is patreon.com. You can also check that out in the link below. That is going to be helping support the channel directly if you want to help that way. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Hopefully you guys liked the video. I'll see you guys later.